When Sonic X first aired all the way back in April of '03, it wasn't my first Sonic cartoon. Nor was it my second, or my third. As a Sonic fan who's been into this series since the very beginning, this wasn't my first rodeo. But it was the first to base the vast majority of its events around the games. And as a teenager who had recently enjoyed the hell out of both Sonic Adventure games and was looking forward to Heroes, on paper, this show checked all the boxes for me. Yet, somehow, through the hustle and bustle and hormones of teenhood, along with my many competing hobbies and interests, it ended up being the Sonic show I watched least. At the time, I don't even think I ever watched the whole series through from start to finish. I know I definitely missed the MetaRex arc when it first aired. Now, I did return to the series later, and I did watch all of it, but it's now even been years since I did that. And since I now run a YouTube channel that mostly revolves around me talking shit about the Sonic series, I think I probably owe it to the show to cover it. My plan is to cover the entire series episode by episode and dissect the story and characters as we go, comparing how it all lines up against the games. Now, I'm going to be reviewing the English dub, so I'm sorry to all of you who swear off this version and can only watch it in Japanese, but I always tend to kinda stick with the English dubs for everything, warts and all, especially my first time covering it. But hey, maybe if this series garners enough interest, it could be worth revisiting the series in Japanese afterward and doing a comparison. But for now, I think we gotta go fast and Sonic drive ourselves into some Sonic X. We open with a nod to everyone's favourite part of Sonic Adventure 1, Big the Cat and fishing. But the big purple lug's peace and serenity doesn't last because wouldn't you know it, Sonic is at it again. We cut to the blue blur advancing on one of Eggman's bases, and as he charges through a hail of bullets without a care in the world, his cheeky grin instantly put me in mind of the iconic opening for Sonic Adventure. Whether or not this was on purpose, I can't say, but with this being the opening episode for the show, it was a nice touch. As Sonic gets closer and closer to the base, Eggman deploys some tougher mechs in an attempt to stop his advance. And as more and more join the fight, Sonic actually starts to get his ass kicked. Lucky for him though, Tails and Amy have his back. I like Tails' no-nonsense bravery here. Rewatching this, it actually took me by surprise because I think I've been so conditioned now by meta-era Tails just sitting back and doing nothing that I'm honestly only ever expecting that Tails. Frontiers was great, but hopefully the next game will break that habit for me completely. Tails launches this series' version of a power ring to Sonic, an unforgettable staple of the Sat AM Sonic cartoon. And while I think they're just called rings in Sonic X, their function is exactly the same. A huge boost in Sonic's speed and power. Using his boosted spin attack, he now easily destroys Eggman's army of mechs. I remember always hating the weird musical cues that accompany it though, and boy, has that hatred stood the test of time. I'm actually eager to see if it's the same in the Japanese version, as if it isn't, that's automatically an extra point for it, because get that shit out of here. Tails and Amy are forced to make a crash landing after being shot down by Eggman, and just as it looks like they're about to crash straight into a giant boulder, it's broken to pieces by Knuckles making the save. Even though he did just rescue them, the show hints at some tension between Knuckles and the others. Watching Sonic at work, he accuses him of going overkill on Eggman as usual. Oh, okay. Wasn't overkill when he saved your home and Big Shiny Precious though, was it? I remember getting annoyed with Knuckles a bit at times in this series, but at least I can give the show credit for laying the groundwork for that future tension, regardless of how pointless it is. It turns out Eggman has actually captured Cream the Rabbit, probably explaining why Sonic is attacking the base. And while bemoaning the fact that Sonic is always getting in his way, Cream politely informs Eggman that Sonic doesn't get in his way. He just tries to stop him from doing all the bad things he likes to do. You gotta take a moment to appreciate Mr. 300 IQ being destroyed in an argument by a 6-year-old. From what little I remember of Cream, I feel like she's gonna be a goldmine for moments like this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her. Eggman fires back with his plans of powering up his energy amplifier with the 7 Chaos Emeralds, but Cream says that Sonic will never let him do that. And Eggman's rebuttal is kinda...
You're wrong, Creamy Dreamy. My name is Jerry Klein. I'm with Social Services.
We then catch a glimpse of Rouge the Bat eavesdropping from the rafters just as Sonic blasts through the door. In the standoff, Eggman manages activating his machine, but not before a stray bullet from one of his mechs damages it, causing it to warp everyone away with chaos control. When Sonic wakes up, he finds himself in a completely alien world, and we've now been introduced to the whole two-world concept, where Sonic and his friends actually come from a different world and end up on Earth by accident. And despite being an adaptation, much like how the movies are now, this became headcanon for so many people. Thanks Sega, you always were awesome at uniting your fans under a single vision. Sonic quickly bumps into the police and isn't too impressed with them mistaking him for a cat.
NANI?!
Through some cop exposition, we quickly establish that Sonic has an attitude, and he proceeds to make fools of them for a bit as they try to catch him. But just before they knee-jerk straight into some police brutality,
"Take it easy. I think we can handle this without getting rough."
the calm and collected Irish sergeant de-escalates the whole situation, ordering everyone to spread out around him. Sure, all us Irish talk like that, sure. That's why you always hear it in every movie and TV show. Sure, we're all basically the same. Naturally, Sonic has them all chasing their tails and leads them on a merry chase around the city. But this police force seems to have an ace up their sleeve. A special task force created specifically to deal with speeders called the Speed Team. Basically, the police call these guys in whenever conventional means of stopping speeding criminals fail. And so confident are they that they even wait for a countdown like in Mario Kart. I know, it's Formula 1, but Mario Kart is better. After shaking the police, Sonic is contemplating what happened to him. He figures it must have been Chaos Control that sent him here, but he wonders what became of his friends. Were they teleported here just like he was? Or are they gone? From what I remember, I do like the deeper contemplation that Sonic goes through in this series. I do also have memories of him taking it a little far at times, bordering on cold or sulky, but it at least shows he's a deeper being than just gotta go fast. He does try to think things through, and he does worry. But just as he decides to go look for his friends, he's approached by the Speed Team. Sam Speed, leader of the S-Team, tries to talk some smack talk to Sonic about how great he is and how he caught some dude in a Formula 1 car one time and a whole chase sequence begins. Now, I'm not gonna dwell on this bit too much, because I only learned recently that everyone apparently loves Sam. Maybe he's great in the Japanese version, maybe I just don't get it, because I remember Sam Speed bugging me quite a bit back in 2003. And I'm also fairly sure I remember who he ends up being revealed as later, and I never really cared. We'll just cover that when it happens. I basically thought the whole concept of the S-Team was ridiculous, even as a teenager. Nothing about it is practical, and unless you're given notice of every single chase and have time to close down entire freeways, it will be absolute carnage. I get that the point of all this is to highlight Sonic's speed, his character, and his knack for showing off and talking trash, but there had to be a better way than just some random dude we've never seen before thinking he can outspeed Sonic the Hedgehog. Nobody anywhere thought he might win, not even for a second. Overall, I just found this a pretty weak approach to the show's opening episode, and it goes on way too long, which is annoying because I know there are so many great storylines ahead. For me, this just hurt the pacing for the episode. Sorry, Sam fans. Sonic breaks the speed of sound and escapes the S-Team by launching himself off the end of the highway. And as he looks down at the city, all lit up at night, he starts to think, maybe it won't be so bad here. Before splashing down into a swimming pool and having PTSD flashbacks. Sonic is truly useless in water in this series, apparently even forgetting how to walk. Lucky for him though, the young boy who lives here dives in to save him, and we're introduced to probably one of the most divisive characters of any Sonic series, Chris Thorndike. I have mixed memories on how I felt about Chris, and I'm actually looking forward to experiencing him again under a more objective lens, because I have a feeling I was probably far more dismissive of him in my teenage years than I would be now. Kinda feel that will likely be true for a lot in this series, which is why I'm actually pretty excited to be returning to it again. A great chance to look at things more objectively. But Sonic has now met his new Earth BFF, and now we just have to wait and see how everything unfolds as his friends and Eggman are thrown into the mix. On balance, I think the opening episode of Sonic X was mostly good. While fleeting, most characters were introduced in a way that demonstrated their dispositions and motivations, with only a few minor logical and pacing issues holding things back. So I'm really looking forward to continuing with the series. But what did you guys think? Did you enjoy the opening episode of Sonic X? And how wrong am I about Sam's speed? Oh, how I can't wait to hear that many times. Let me know all your Sonic X thoughts in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, this really helps me out. And make sure to turn on notifications to see more from me. If you'd like to support the channel and see your name at the end of my videos, you can check out my Patreon or become a channel member. Your help, as always, is much appreciated. But for now, a big thank you for watching. And as always guys, take care.